Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel. Hendricks here for our Week 8 recap show presented by Folly Road. Jerel, a fantastic week of football, great games all across the state. We saw some upsets, we saw some blowouts, a lot of surprises for sure, but man, it was a awesome night of action last Friday. And Thursday, and even Tuesday.
We're going to be saying that the rest of the time. I mean, yeah, you can definitely tell it's spooky season's coming. I mean, we had a lot of craziness, had a full moon on Friday night, but it was interesting. Some great score lines, some great storylines. So let's recap it and talk about what we had going on in Week 8.
Certainly. As always, if you guys are just tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate that. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show Tuesday nights about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you hop in there and chat with us during the program. Also, our recap show comes out on Sundays or Monday mornings. We have coach interviews, player interviews, food reviews, all kinds of great stuff throughout the week on our social sites as well. Get your Moving the Chains merch. We've got hats, toboggans, hoodies, T-shirts, lots of really good stuff for the cold weather games coming up. We got a gray hoodie, a lighter gray / white hoodie. We've got a navy blue T-shirt, a black shirt, a pink shirt, some really good stuff for you guys to support the boys with as well there. So check that out on our social pages. Please order some to help us make the show better and better and better. But Jerel, before we get into our first portion of the program, let's give a shout out to some friends of the show.
Set your kids up with a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Just like learning the rules of football, understanding money management is crucial. Our Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Give your young MVPs the skills they need to move the chains on their financial futures. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, Jerel. Our Kona games of the week. 5 of the biggest ones across the state. Let's go through those first, and then we'll kind of break those down as we do.
Man, we started off with the game that we attended on Friday, and that was Mountain View Prep against Woodruff, and it was a barn burner back and forth throughout. Man, the Stars and the Wolverines put on an absolute show. I mean, the best players, I won't say necessarily the best, but the impact players for both squads, the proven guys, really came to play in this one. MVP was able to win it 40-38. We caught this one down at Newberry College. I have never been down there, Kevin. I was extremely impressed with that facility there. It was a great show. They got to work on the speakers, as they upgrade that stadium, but everything else was fantastic in first class, but not as good as the football. We expected this one to be a knockdown drag out, and we exactly got what we expected.
Man, what a great game. Back and forth all night long. Both offenses pretty much having their way with the other side there. Defenses couldn't do a whole lot. But there's just so much talent out there, and the two great coaches. We talked to Coach Sloan last week, midweek. You could tell he had some stuff worked up. We talked to Coach Ramsey before the game. You could tell he had some stuff too. They went to that kind of unbalanced line look for a lot of the game, and saw a lot of success with that for the Stars. That was a great, strategic play there. That really worked out well. Was able to get them some runs, some stretches to the edge there with McGill that kind of really got him going. I mean, he's one of the best players in the state, one of the best players in the nation for next year's class. Anytime you get the ball in his hands at the corner, you think it's a good plan. So certainly made sense to do that, man. Just super impressed with both sides. Like, they both played really good football. And while I said the defenses, didn't play great, it wasn't like they were just giving up easy touchdowns either. Most of the night they were making the other team earn it, having to drive the field, but just could not get that one big play they needed. The one big play for Woodruff on defense. They did get the pick six, fumble six, whatever you want to call it there off Bryson Drummond, but couldn't get any stops beside that. And then, MVP's defense got the one stop out of half, which they had to have a 3-and-out there. And that was really all they needed, man. But yeah, big games on both sides. Bryson Drummond, Jalen McGill, KD Hainsworth, big games for MVP on offense. For Woodruff, Aiden Gibson, TJ Morris, Moats, and all those guys got it done there on that side too. I mean, it's a fantastic football game. comes down to the end. We get an onside kick, but I think the 13 seconds left that MVP recovers to really ice it. But just a great ball game, a great atmosphere. Both teams brought awesome crowds there. It was a lot of fun to be at that ball game.
Man, it was fantastic. And you mentioned that I was going to do as well. The crowds, just for them to travel. I think it was funny that MVP had to travel a little bit further than Woodruff did for a home game. But that did not deter anybody from watching this football game. I mean, it was packed out. Everybody was in it the entire time. It was so much fun to see. Like you said, man, you mentioned those names, man. These guys just continue to perform at a high level. TJ Morris, Gibson, obviously McGill, Haynesworth, Drummond, man, these guys just continue to play well. I know going into the game, my biggest concern for Woodruff especially was the layoff, but they showed no effects of that whatsoever, man. They came out and executed, played very well. These are two teams that I expect to make deep playoff runs. Obviously, they're both probably still be in our top five regardless. I mean, you see a 2-point score line, but it was a lot of great football. And if you have the opportunity to see either of these teams play the rest of the season, you get out there and do so. But Kev, we'll put a bow on this one. You got anything else on this one?
Yeah, I was going to say, we caught up with Coach Ramsey and Jalen McGill and Katie Haynesworth after the game. Those interviews are on our social pages, our YouTube, all that stuff as well. I also got a highlight of the, maybe play of the year from Katie Haynesworth, the one-handed catch late in the game to kind of seal it, takes off down the sideline. It was just an awesome play. Go check those out on our social pages. Definitely want to shout out all of our friends out there. We got to see, Coach Sloan from the Woodruff side, Sean Taylor as well from there. MVP, we saw talk to Coach Ramsey and Coach Keller and Coach Helms, and then Corey, our friend there, and then Brody as well. Got to talk to a lot of great folks from both sides, and definitely enjoyed getting to see some of those guys. Some for the first time, some for the first time in a while, but definitely getting great to catch up with all those guys, and really enjoyed our time down there. Hats off to MVP, man. Super, super impressive. Like I said, my worry was, what do they've got depth-wise and line-wise, and I mean, they put a lot of that to rest. Like, they play good football, man. They really did a good job. And they, like I said, I think both teams are keyed up for a deep playoff run.
Most definitely. Again, that scoreline was 40-38. MVP coming out on top of Woodruff. First class folks there. We really appreciate that one. It was a lot of fun Friday. But another great one, probably for another region championship here. And we had Barnwell and Hampton County. This one was 27-14 in favor of the Warhorses here. They utilized a really quick burst in the first couple minutes in the second half, to create that gap and win this one over Hampton County. But otherwise, it seems like this was a very close and tight matchup.
Yeah, I believe it was a one-score game going into the break, and then within the first minute and a half of the second half, Barnwell had 2 pick sixes already there to ice that one, man. Just an awesome win for Coach Smith's bunch, a team that, kind of been – I mean, I know we've had them in our poll, but I feel like they're kind of a little bit laying in the weeds, Druck. We're not really talking about them a whole lot because they haven't played a super big game like this one for a while. But that was a great win there over Hampton County. Hampton County team that we didn't know a ton about. We were kind of surprised with some of their results earlier in the year. But Barnwell bouncing up with a nice win on the road. Tough place to play there. Great win for the Warhorses, like you said. Region title there, I believe, already. I mean, not officially locked up, but you got to think that's probably the two best teams in that region.
It's definitely two fantastic teams. And again, you got to give a tip of the cap to that Barnwell defense, man. They've played very well all season. They showed it again to, holding Hampton County. They're always trying to pound the football, make some things happen. They're always big, fast, physical. Hold them to 14 points is a great feat. So we know they really got after it there. Again, that one was 27-14. Back in the upstate, had a big tilt in Region 2 and 5A, and that was Spartanburg and Bowling Springs. The Vikings put it on the dogs here, 27-7. Again, this is Spartanburg. It's kind of been another team that's been on the fringe. They have not been in our top 5 yet, but they will after this big time win that they had on Friday night.
Huge win, just a non-competitive game, honestly. They jumped out to an early lead, a big lead right out the gate, and just never relinquished it. I thought this would be a low-scoring game. Did not think it would, hold Bowling Springs to 7 points there. I believe this game was 21-0 after the first quarter, 27-0 at half. Bowling Springs scores once in the third quarter, and that's it, man. Just a great performance by the Vikings and Coach Hodges' bunch, man. They are the real deal. They've got one loss, that's to Dutch Fork. They're a team that we've probably overlooked a little bit, but I think we got to start putting them on our radar now moving forward.
I mean, I'll say it. We'll drop the probably. We've definitely overlooked them. They're a legitimate top 5 team here. They've played fantastic defense. They got the one of the bigger wins. I know it's against a 4A school, but it's South Point, who is a fantastic bunch, and that should have piqued our interest early on. But this win is a definite statement over Bowling Springs, and that's Bowling Springs. We still think is a very good football team. They are having some issues, I think, scoring points, moving the ball. Their defense is great as well. But it's back to the drawing board there. I think Spartanburg is clearly a team that is now, competing for that region championship. It's going to be interesting to keep up with Region 2 as we move forward. Again, that one was 27-7 in favor of the Spartanburg Vikings. Kevin, this next one in our Kona games of the week, I was not expecting this scoreline at all. Completely wrong on who was going to win and this margin of victory. And that was the Dillon Wildcats between the White Walls. They put it on Marlboro County in the Highway 9 rivalry. They win this game 35-12. This game was not really that close. I mean, they stretch it out for sure in the second half, but it seems like the Wildcats just completely dominated that explosive Marlboro County offense.
Did not see this coming at all. Dillon, like you said, physically dominated and just, had their way all night long with Marlboro County. There was a chance late in the first half. Dillon's up 7-0. They go to kick a field goal. Marlboro County blocks it and returns it to make it 7-6 right before the half. You're thinking, oh, man, this might be, the turning point here in the game. But no, Dillon comes out second half and just puts the hammer down on those guys, man. Just a great performance for Coach Roller's team. The defense especially just locking down a high-powered Bulldog offense there. Our guy, Jamarion Fling, had a big game on offense, multiple rushing touchdowns there for him. They're a talented team. We talked about them losing back-to-back games earlier to Loris and Hartsville, and it was always just a lot of mistakes, turnovers or special teams or whatever. And they had some of that on Friday, obviously a block kick there and whatnot, but it seemed like they'd certainly cleaned up some of those mistakes. And just they are going to be a tough team like they always are, Jerel, especially at home. Not sure what their chances are getting that one seed now. You got to hope that Marlboro County beats Loris this week and some things work out their direction. But they will get at least probably one home game. That's a tough place to win for sure. On the flip side, Marlboro County, I don't know what to make of them now. I still think they're very good, but maybe they just gotten a little overinflated. I don't know what to make of it, honestly, Jerel.
Yeah, me neither. I don't know. I mean, this is a Marlboro team. I mean, they hadn't scored under 40 points at any point this year. And, to see Dillon hold them to 12 and then 6 of that coming on a blocked field goal return touchdown. I mean, it's crazy stuff there. So, I mean, Dillon just dominated this game. We talked about it on Tuesday. This was a situation where Dillon, it was a must win if they wanted to have any shot at winning the region there. And they handled business. I mean, this is a rivalry game. It was obviously a little bit more competitive than last year, but not that much more. So if you're Marlboro County, you got to go back to the drawing board. And it's funny that this week turns into a must-win game for them as they have to face Loris, who beat this Dillon squad that handled them. So it's going to be a lot of things going on over there in Bennettsville to try to figure out how they move forward. But that is an impressive performance by Dillon there. And you got to love what you saw if you were a fan of the Wildcats. And
I do want to say, similar to the game that we were at on Friday, an awesome atmosphere, awesome crowd. I saw some videos and photos, man, both sides packed out. You had to get there very early to get a good seat, man. That's what this football, high school football should be all about and stuff like that, man. Having these great communities come together. No trouble, hopefully, you know how that goes. But hopefully we get more big games, big time atmospheres here as we close out the season like those two we saw on Friday.
Again, that's Dillon over Marlboro County 35-12. Our skis game of the week ended up not being that close either. That was Holly Hill and Cathedral. Cathedral's been a fantastic story as we progress through this season. I mean, they've played very good football, but they go up against this buzzsaw in Holly Hill. They win it 64-26. Man, you wish it would have been a little bit closer, but we kind of saw this one coming as we got into it.
Yeah, I think there's a clear kind of pecking order in 1A. I think you've got teams like a JDA and a Holly Hill, even a Richard Wynn and whatnot. Those are kind of up there towards the top. And I think Cathedral's a kind of a step behind that. Like nothing wrong with that, but they just aren't quite to that level yet. For the Raiders, you had the big players making big plays like you want to see. Ashton Souls, I think, had 5 touchdown passes, a TD run. Jody Gillum, a big game. Camden Harmon, a big game. I mean, Holly Hill's a very good team. Like they're a contender every year for a reason. They got it done on Friday night. Cathedral just not quite to that level yet. Big win for the Raiders.
Again, our Kona games of the week, we had Mountain View Prep over Woodruff 40-38 in a thriller. Barnwell utilizes a big third quarter to knock off Hampton County 27-14. Spartanburg all over Bowling Springs 27-7. Dillon just suffocates that Marlboro County offense. They win it 35-12. And in our Skeeza game of the week, we had Holly Hill over Cathedral 64-26. Kevin, let's jump down to our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. And this was a good one. We had Timberland matched up against Andrews. Andrews obviously reeling after a tough defeat last week. But Timberland, they win this game 21-14. What do you make of this, of this Timberland team who seems to be surging and this Andrews team that seems to be, stepping back a little bit?
I mean, they're already in a super tough region, but that was a huge win for Timberland. Right now I think in that region you got Phillip Simmons and Timberland both undefeated. I think Woodlands at 1 loss and Andrews back there with 2 losses. So Andrews is just staring the 4 seed in the face, a team that we were pretty high on early in the year. I still think they're a good football team. They've just not been playing super great lately. I know Brandon Cumbie was back for them this week, but just not quite enough firepower there to stop a big physical Timberland team. Great win for the Wolves, man, and I can't wait for that Timberland Phillip Simmons showdown here in a couple weeks.
Again, our HTC game of the week was Timberland and Andrews. Timberland wins this one 21-14. I mean, Timberland is playing some fantastic football. We want to thank our friends at HTC for joining us this year at Moving the Chains. We will highlight a game in Marion, Orion, Georgetown counties each week. So be sure to check out our next HTC game next week. We'll roll that out on Tuesday. Jumping in, another longtime partner, though, that's Hannah Engineering. They sponsor our Pick'em contest. Again, my favorite thing that we do here at Moving the Chains. Keeps you locked in with all of the action around the state. The first one we had was in the Midlands. We had River Bluff and Chapin. River Bluff bounces back in a huge way to defeat Chapin 30-6. I mean, this River Bluff team really saw them get stuff going on the ground against Irma last week. Chapin loses a heartbreaker, last second to Lexington last week. This is a difficult region as well, but River Bluff, I think they righted the ship. I mean, they've had some quarterback stuff through injury, but this is a hard-nosed team. They really get it done up front. They play really physical defense as well. And then Chapin, you got to wonder what happened there because they are known for scoring points. They've scored on everybody they've played, and to only put up 6 is unlike them. This is a big-time win for River Bluff.
Awesome defensive performance. You mentioned Chapin. I mean, they've been scoring 30, 40 plus all year long with that great high-flying offense. Man, awesome performance for the Gators there in Coach Harden.
Another team under the radar is Goose Creek. They faced off against Lucy Beckham this week. Lucy Beckham, we know that they're known for defense. Goose Creek has probably been one of the better defenses in the state throughout the year this year, and they show it again. They win this one 31-7. Goose Creek's another team we haven't talked as much about. We need to because they've been playing fantastic football this year.
They're doing this too without Malik McGowan. He's been out for a couple weeks now. The backup running back, I think, had $160. The quarterback ran for 100, threw for 100. They're getting it done. And with that defense, Jerel, if they can just get a little bit of offense, they're going to win a lot of football games, and they seem to be trending upwards here at the right time.
Have another one here. We had Ridgeview and West Florence. The Blazers, man, they have really picked it up behind, young quarterback there, Trey Howard. I mean, he's doing his thing. They're growing up as a team. Another week. They have 41 points this week over a West Florence team. Another team that seems to be going in the wrong direction right now. This one ends up being 41-16. But I really like what I see out of Ridgeview the last few weeks after a very tough start.
I agree. I think folks kind of wrote them off a little bit due to playing a super tough non-region schedule. I mean, they played the likes of Northwestern and just, some big names like that. They have turned it around here in region playing great football. Looking forward to that Ridgeview-Sumter game here for that region soon enough here. But they are playing awesome for Coach Howard. The offense is lighting it up right now.
In the upstate, we had Greer and Seneca. I mean, Greer, they win this game 21-13. Seneca was previously unbeaten. We've kind of been hesitant on, putting them in our top 5 because of the strength of schedule there. Greer's a team that's, they played a difficult, I would say, non-region slate, and it seems to have paid off for them. This is a big-time win for the Yellow Jackets here over the Bobcats.
They're on quite a roll. I think they've won maybe 3 or 4 in a row now after a tough start there. The Seneca team, like you said, Jerel, we weren't really sure how good they were. They had to play Daniel a couple weeks ago, and it got rained out, so we still didn't know. But Greer's playing good football. They've got some good athletes on both sides of the ball. Caden Rowland there at quarterback, a dual-threat guy is playing well for them.
And our final Hannah Engineering game of the week, and it was an absolute thriller as well. That was Somerville and Ashley Ridge. Kevin, football is all about matchups, and I don't know what it is about this Ashley Ridge program, but they match up very well with Somerville. This one ended up being a double overtime thriller. Somerville pulling it out, eking it out to stay undefeated. They win 49-48. I think this game last year was 42-38, something like that. These teams just really match up well. So even at a loss, I'm super impressed with what Ashley Ridge has done. They've replaced Eric Sally. They've kind of spread the ball other areas with Coach Tate there. But Somerville just continues to find ways to win, and you always have to love that if you're a fan of the Green Wave.
A great rivalry between those two every year, it feels like, and Somerville just doing just enough. You mentioned it, you get a double overtime. Ashley Ridge, they score to go down by 1, and they go for 2. Didn't love the play there, but they did not convert. They ended up losing by 1. Man, just a great football game down there. Ashley Ridge, another team that we've kind of had not talked a ton about because they lost early to Berkeley. They ended up getting that win back due to a forfeit there from Berkeley. They lose to Oceanside Collegiate. We're like, are they really any good? But they've kind of come on strong the last few weeks, and they've gotten it figured out on offense especially. They're going to team to watch out for. And Somerville, like you said, Jerel, they just continue to win, continue to roll. The running back, Javen Williams, is playing well. They've got a lot of good pieces around him with Cummings and whatnot as well. So definitely a tough team there for Coach Rafferty.
Again, our Hannah Engineering Pick'em contest games, we had River Bluff over Chapin 30-6. Goose Creek suffocates Lucy Beckham 31-7. Had Ridgeview all over West Florence 41-16. Tight one in the upstate. Greer over Seneca 21-13, and a double overtime thriller in the Low Country. Somerville knocks off Ashley Ridge 49-48.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Looking now at our stock up segment, Drew, these are teams that impressed us. We think a little bit higher of now after a nice game back in Week 8. I'll start with Cane Bay. A team that I think had 1 win of the season comes in and beats a solid Stratford team. Very nice win for them. TL Hannah, this was a Thursday night game, They knock off JL Man, a team that everybody was been really high on. And honestly, it wasn't even a fluke because they beat them pretty handily. It was a bit of a whooping there by the Yellow Jackets. Great win for Coach Tone's bunch. And then James Island. They went through a ton last week where they have probably their best offensive player leave to go to Florida to a prep school. They come back and they beat a solid Fort Dorchester team. Great win for Coach McCoy and the Trojans.
Yeah, we got Spartanburg. We talked about the Vikings as they were one of our Kona games of the week. Big time win over Bowling Springs that solidifies them as a top 5 team, especially with us. Malden, you said it. Don't let the Mavs get hot. They've won 2 in a row. Knock off the Greenville Red Raiders, man. Coach Shaw and his bunch are having a difficult season after a magical run the last few years in the playoffs. But the Red Raiders are down bad, but the Mavs stock up. And then Greer. The Yellow Jackets, they're surging. They played a difficult non-region schedule, but they are playing fantastic football. Knock off the previously undefeated Seneca Bobcats. Big-time win there.
Hilton Head Island, they knock off the previously unbeaten May River Sharks on Thursday. That was a surprising win there, a great win for that bunch. We talked about Dillon, their big win over Marlboro County. Very impressive for Coach Roller and those guys there. And MVP, another shout-out to them after that big win over Woodruff on Friday night.
We got Timberland. Obviously, they were one of our HTC games of the week. They knock off Andrews. They are playing fantastic football there. Chesney, they continue to play well up there in the, near the border, but Chesney has played fantastic football. And then Barnwell, obviously, we talked about them as well as a Kona game of the week. That is a huge win over Hampton County. They are probably going to, lock up that region. Not official, but they have won that region.
Will Branch, a team we have not talked a ton about, they get a nice win over Lake Marion on Friday. Lamar, Coach Burris's bunch, watch out, Jerel. They are starting to heat up and peak at the right time. They get a dominant win over Lee Central on Friday night.
Last one I got, Louisville. Open up the offense. I think they scored 50 this week. They have been a fantastic football team all year. We saw them play early in the year. Good to see them get healthy, finally figure some things out. I think they scored over 50. So got to give a shout out to the Lions there. Stock up.
RSM, nice win over Wagner Sally. Those guys continue to play better and better each week. And then Colin Prep, big win over Lee Academy on Friday. Those guys are playing good football down there as well. Flipping over now to the stock downside, Jerel. I'll tell you, this is one of the bigger lists we've had this year for stock down.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely got an upstate flair. I mean, we'll start off with it. JL Man. They didn't just lose, they got blown out by TL Hanna. That's kind of concerning there, though, especially coming off a huge win over Hillcrest, earlier in the week. I guess that game was Saturday. So I know it's weird, I guess, playing Saturday, Thursday, but that is not a good look for JL Man. And then we just mentioned Greenville, man. They have had a difficult season, first year under coach J-Bo Shaw there, losing to Malden. I mean, I can't tell you the last time that's happened. I'm sure somebody's going to correct me. It's probably like 3 years ago, but Greenville stock down.
Chapin, we mentioned that earlier, just, non-competitive against River Bluff there. Surprised how that game turned out. And then Bowling Springs as well, a similar story. We're just got handled right out of the gate by a region foe in Spartanburg.
Yeah, Blythewood, just down bad this year. We don't want to get into it too much. Going to May River as well. It's been a great story. They've played very good football, but to drop their first one after, seemingly, setting up a situation where they could go to the region title, that was not a good loss for those guys.
We mentioned Seneca a minute ago with that Greer win, but Seneca, undefeated going and losing to Greer. Not a great look there. Marlboro County getting handled pretty easily by Dillon as well. And then the final one I've got, Jerel, Swansea, a team that had been playing good football. It felt like get beat. Yeah, they get beat pretty handily by Silver Bluff, a team that did not have a win going into this game. Not sure what to make of the Tigers now for Coach Fox. I thought they were playing well, man. Had got a lot of wins on the schedule, but not a good showing by them last Friday. Anybody else for you on stock down this week?
No, full list. I don't like doing stock down as much as I like doing stock up. So let's
agree.
Move on.
I agree. Well, our players of the week brought to you by the Georgia Agency. As always, guys, send us these stats each and every week. We try to find as many as we can and comb through as many as we can. But if you see a great stat line, send it to us on Twitter/X or Instagram or Facebook or the email, whatever's best. We'd love to have it. We always say, no matter what the stats are, we'll shout the kids out. We'll say it on the show. We'll put them in the blog. And then we'll choose our three winners from that. So definitely don't hesitate to send us those each and every week. Jerel, a great list this week. If you want to run through the nominees, then we'll choose our three winners at the end.
Of course, we'll start off with Dre Dobson, the quarterback at Brooklyn Case. He had 4 TD passes, 2 running touchdowns as well. Great start of the week for Dre. Michael Doe, the running back at North Augusta, goes 11 totes for 127 and 3 touchdowns. Kev, look at this one. Jaden Hatcher, I guess the backup running back there at North Augusta. Talk about getting it done here. 3 carries for 116 and 3 touchdowns. Efficiency should be his middle name. Got Ashton Souls of Holly Hill, 5 TD passes, 1 touchdown run. Jody Boogie Gilliam at Holly Hill as well, 3 touchdown catches. Camden Harmon of Holly Hill had 2 touchdown catches, their big win over Cathedral. Jamarcus Smith, the do-it-all athlete, shrine bowler from Gaffney, goes 14 carries for 203 and 2 touchdowns. Zori Pierce at Lamar had 159 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, also had 115 on the ground and another touchdown. Trey Leonard, the running back at South Florence, goes 9 carries for 181 and 2 TDs. We'll go run through some guys from Bamberg. Chanston Crosby goes 10 of 14 for 254, 3 TDs. Demetrius Odom gets done on the ground, 30 rushes for 177 and 2 TDs. And Charles Anthony Williams had 4 catches for 116 and 2 TDs. Jalen McGill, the do-it-all back at MVP, goes 260 on the ground for 3 TDs. Gunslinger of Daniel, Grayson Clary, goes 12 of 13 for 251, 4 touchdowns. Also had 6 carries for 60 yards. Tylen Drakeford of Camden had 2 TD catches. We will scroll down. Jamari Blandon of Cane Bay had 2 picks and a kickoff return touchdown. Henry Rivers, the gunslinger at Berkeley, goes 12 of 13 for 294 and 4 TDs. John Wetzel of Dorchester goes 209 on the ground and 3 TDs. And the senior do-it-all playmaking quarterback of Woodruff, TJ Morris, goes 21 of 39 for 411 yards and 3 touchdowns in their close defeat to MVP.
Lots of great nominees this week, Jerel, all across the state, all across the board. But our 3 winners we have Angelo Rios at Westwood, goes 37 rushes, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns for Angelo. Big game in their win over Lugoff Elgin. We have Cam McMillan at South Point, a frequent nominee, wins it this week, 19 for 23, 355, and 3 touchdowns for the Stallions. He puts up big numbers each and every week. Then KD Hainsworth at Mountain View Prep. Jerel, 2 TD catches, and just, I mean, honestly, probably what is one of the best plays either of us have ever seen live in a high school football game to seal that game with a nice one-handed grab and then taking off down the sideline for a touchdown.
Most definitely, man. These guys got it done.
For sure. Once again, our 3 winners this week, Angelo Rios at Westwood, Cam McMillan at South Point, and then KD Hainsworth at MVP. Let's see. Once again, guys, shoot us those stats each and every week. Love to get them from you guys. Love to have more nominees if we could. So definitely get those over to us. Couple notes I've got from this week's action. James Island, they defeated Fort Dorchester for the first time in 14 seasons last Friday. Great win for that bunch. Cane Bay, get this. We talked about them, having a slow start to the season and Stratford being pretty good. Cane Bay just beat Stratford for the 10th time in a row. So they just had that Knights program's number, man. They just got it figured out over there. And then here in Week 8, Northwestern has already clinched the region title. Hats off to Coach Walford and the Trojans there. Any other notes from you that I may have missed that came across the timeline this weekend?
No notes, but man, I did see that the Trojans already 9-0. I mean, I think they have their bye this week, got their feet kicked up. I mean, they just continue. I mean, they're probably not playing in the second half anyways. The starters aren't, but that team's really rolling right now.
No doubt about it. Well, let's go shout out to some more friends of the program before we go into the next segment. The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Looking now at our Folly Row question drill, what do you got for us this week?
Man, I'm coming off the cuff this week, man. This is going to be a weird one here. But I started, being on social media. People are getting ready, getting amped up as we're starting to close the regular season, getting ready for the postseason. We've got got the brackets out already. People are trying to fill out to see and project what's going to happen in the playoffs, seeding and all that. And I wanted to ask you I know this year we're adopting this RPI system for seeding. It's like, do you trust that RPI system, or do you think that we should just go back to the classic seeding system? Like, what do you feel most confident in? I don't really care. It's going to be football regardless. I'm excited about it, especially postseason football, because craziness definitely happens once we get past that first round. But what do you think? Do you trust this new RPI system that's going to be implemented? Are you more of a traditionalist and you just go straight seeding, old school tiebreakers, all that good stuff?
I'm very interested to see how this works out. I don't mind it for 4A because everybody is playing the same class. I'm a little bit hesitant in the 5A ranks with the way that they're doing these regions, where you've got teams some teams in the region going to the big 5A, some going to little 5A. I don't know how all that's going to shake out, what's going to be weighted differently there, and how that's going to be seated a little bit there. That's going to be odd on that side, but I guess it does do a good thing of where you can't really try to manipulate it too much in scheduling, because it not only takes into your opponent's win-loss, but their opponent's win-loss. So there's a lot of pieces to it, which I do like that. I don't love it for 5A with the way that's going to have to split across 2 divisions there and how that's going to shake out. That's going to be a little bit odd to me, but I don't mind it for 4A. We'll see how it all shakes out. I said I've never loved the predetermined brackets really, because sometimes it's just luck of the draw where you're gonna, where you got to go play and all that. I don't love that, but I don't know if this computer formula is going to be any better or not.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm just thinking about it. It just made me asking my own question. I'm not going to answer it at all. I'm thinking about 5A, man. Like, I still don't understand this whole division stuff. I don't like the whole interdivision region stuff. I think the only one that's just straight Division 1 is that Low Country region in 5A. I think they're all D1 down there, but that's going to be interesting. I guess to say I'm a traditionalist, man. Let's just have these, backwoods, coin flips for tiebreakers, like Friday Night Lights, stuff like that. I don't need no computers. We saw computers in college football that messed everything up, right? With
supposedly, right?
The BCS and all that. So it'll be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And then we always got to listen to people whine on the basketball side about RPI and all that, who got into the tournament and all that good stuff. So it'll be funny. We'll see how it works. But I will compliment the high school league. People always get mad when I compliment the high school league for trying something new. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely will be intriguing to see. I know we've got it for 2 years at least, then we'll kind of figure out where to go from there. I do want to make a note to folks that everybody's saying it's the Max Preps RPI, but I do not think that's the official one. I believe there's actually a RPI you go to through the South Carolina athletic directors type site to get to. I will try to find that link for you guys, but just because you see it on Max Preps doesn't mean it's 100% true. So just be wary of that as we kind of get into this seeding process here in a couple weeks. Anything else, Jerel, on this week's show before we kind of wrap up here?
Dude, week 9, crazy. This season flying by, even though we had disruptions, all that good stuff, with, hurricanes, natural disasters, and, we're going to get all kinds of crazy football games. We're going to have to do live, updates during the show on Tuesday, but I can't believe that it's flying by the way it is. It happens every year. We look up, because during the season, the off season, we're like, oh, can August get here? We look up, it's November. So sad that the season's flying by. It's cool to see these regions taking shape, and excited to see another fantastic game on week 9 on Friday, because we've been hitting some good ones this year, man. We've done well. We started off shaky last year, but this year we've been knocking out of the park.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, MovinChains.com, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Tune in Tuesday night for our live preview show about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you hop in there with the comments. Got lots of big games this week on the docket for that. Our recap show comes out on Sundays. We have coach interviews, player interviews, and more all throughout the week. Our Movin The Chains merch available online now. Check it out on our social media pages. We have hoodies, T-shirts, hats, toboggans, all kinds of great stuff. Get outfitted and check it out. I know our buddy Corey bought some at the game Friday. Appreciate him for doing that. Glad to get more of that out in the wild. Jerel, I'm super excited for this week, man. We've said it last couple weeks. A couple region titles have already been kind of de facto, figured out, but there are a lot of them that are still up for grabs. We'll see a lot more clarity on here these last couple weeks.
For sure, yeah, it'll go to the wire. Some of these regions, some of them just not as competitive. It just is what it is. But some of these ones, they will go down to week 11 this year. So it's going to be crazy to see games getting played. Like a Jerel man, you think that they were, going to be, cruising. They've been playing some good football, and then boom, they play on a Thursday night, and then it's all craziness. But excited to see what happens down the stretch. I'll stop rambling. Ready for Tuesday. Let's preview week 9 and get after it again.
Yeah,
run up that YouTube.
Yes, always get the YouTube going, guys. But last thing I was going to say, shout out once again to the folks at MVP and Woodruff and at Newberry College as well for having us on Friday. Shout out to folks at Hillcrest and at Easley for having me on Thursday night. I got to see some great folks over there as well. So appreciate all of them and love talking to them as always. But
we didn't shout out our guy Brody for sure at MVP.
Yes, our guy Brody, man. Super fan. I love that. Brody's a good dude, man. Looking forward to catch up with him again at some point this season. But this has been our Week 8 recap show from Folly Road. For Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union, and we will catch you guys soon.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.